Welcome to the fight of your life. Are you willing to die to shine? Nobody is taking us down. We are here for the crown of sound.
All right, this is Josh. Welcome to Rockville 2023 Daytona International Speedway. We're live, Access TV, the Power Hour with the legendary Jason Bonham.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Soft taco enthusiast.
I am, but I'm also, one of the reasons why I'm here is this venue. This venue means a lot to me. Not only, I was here recently, I was an ambassador for Lamborghini. And I came to the Rolex 24 race here, and Lamborghini were very kind to let me go out and do some laps in the fast laps, which was incredible. They wouldn't let me drive for insurance purposes, but I did drive one of my race cars to here on the way and stopped at Sebring Racetrack and did 3 hours of testing my new car, and then got here. But this girl driver from Lamborghini scared the hell out of me. So I love this place for that reason. She's chatting away, going, "Oh, you like to go fast?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. Actually, you know, oh my God, I did look like I was having a stroke." And she goes, "Don't worry, I'm just taking it easy." Really? So yeah, this place, Supercross, come here all the time to watch the Supercross on the infield.
So you're a lifelong fan of racing, and you race yourself, yes?
Yes. Well, I won't say I race myself. We're not allowed to say we race anymore.
Okay.
When we go to the track, we're a bunch of, overpaid gentlemen with fast cars that go around the track, and we are not competitive. Yeah. But yeah, to have music here, to do this, a huge honor. I still find it weird. I came last night, and I'll see today, I guess, when to walk on and play the oldest music of the festival that was from my father.
Alice Cooper's here.
Zeppelin was still 68, so you know
it might be a tie.
It's close, okay, then when we're the youngest people playing the oldest music.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's going to be a dream, because I never imagined doing this. The show that I created to play the music was always about telling the stories, more of a storyteller, to explain why I'm doing it. Not to just go up there and play a bunch of Led Zeppelin songs and go, yeah, pay me. It's just about a feeling and how much the music meant to me. And just because I never got a chance to tell him while he was alive that I thought he was cool. I thought Stuart Copeland was better.
We just had Stuart Copeland on our show a week ago. And I'm sure he'd be the first to tell you, how great your father was. And, I had the pleasure, maybe almost 7 or 8 years ago, being at one of these Danny Wimmer festivals. I believe it was in North Carolina at the time. And you played a similar set with Sammy Hagar. And I thought it was fantastic. And you guys had played a bunch of these Zeppelin classics. What is there a particular, I'm sure every song is, amazing, but is there one in particular that you love playing more than others, or one that you look forward to playing?
I suppose if you look at the whole catalogue, one of the hardest things on the drive over here, which you think would be a little bit more organised, but when you look at it and go, we got a 45-minute to put in, a set list, and if we chose 3 certain songs, that would be it.
Or you could just do Moby Dick the whole time.
If you did Stairway, Kashmir, No Quarter, and so you'd have a chance for one more song.
Right.
That would be
a tight
it.
set.
Because you got Stairway's over 9, Kashmir's over 9. There's 18 minutes straight away. With me waffling on down the microphone, I'd probably need somebody to cut him off. And because we do the live, some of the live stuff where the solos are extended. I mean, wait till you see this Japanese guitar player that just...
Oh, wow.
I found him online and I was like, is this guy real? It was a bit too much. But the hardest thing is picking the songs. But it depends where we are, how we can light and shade. So today will be here's one you know, here's one you know, here's one you know, here's one you know. Choose the shorter ones, and even then, it's for us. We usually do 2.5 hours, so we're gonna be like, "Is that it? We're done."
Yeah.
But the same for me with Sammy. I'm like throwing at him Van Halen songs constantly. Can we do this one? Can we do, Van Hager? Sorry, the Van Hager period. And with the Circle, and actually next year when we go back out, we're gonna add even some pre-Sammy stuff to the show. So next year, the big year for Sam and all of us in the Circle to do all of those songs, as well as the Montrose, as well as the Zeppelin, and as well as the Van Hager, to do a few more of the early stuff as well. It's going to be, I have a very good job to play with some of the bands. With playing with Sammy and doing this.
Right.
Alex was an amazing drummer. My dad's an amazing drummer. It doesn't suck,
No.
to have those. You could pick a band and you go, I really gonna play that song. The drums are always the heart and soul of it. So.
We have Pantera headlining tonight, and it's a similar sort of. It reminds me almost in the same way, where it's like I feel like those songs should be played. Period. Right? And like I remember being at that festival and hearing maybe a Whole Lot of Love or Communication Breakdown in the Distance, and going, "Oh my God, who's playing Zeppelin?" And I was like, "That drumming's great." These songs, while these folks are sadly no longer with us, the music is always with us, and it gets to live on. We get to hear all this great stuff. How'd you first, and I got to say, drummers always have a special bond with bass players, right? You got to, you play with John Paul Jones, you play with Michael Anthony. What is, do you have a special bond with that rhythm section?
I think with I've been fortunate enough to play like with, as you say, JPJ and Michael Anthony, Tony Franklin when I played with him, another mate, Pino Palladino. I did an album where he played.
He's been playing The Who lately,
yeah,
right?
he did The Who. He's done it's the most amazing. Leyland Sklar, who has played on so many sessions. So I feel very fortunate. And the great thing about when you play with a guy like that, you stop thinking about it. It means you can actually now focus on what the guitar player is doing and where he wants you to lift.
Yep.
And when you listen to the Zeppelin live stuff, John's watching my dad's watching Jimmy. Because when he wants it up, and then wants to bring him back down, and it's all about that, having that light and shade, and having that, the dynamics to make it big when it needs to be big, and to make you hear a pin drop when you do it. So once you get comfortable with a guy, it is the best feeling in the world, because you stop worrying about it,
Absolutely.
And very underrated instrument, the bass, sometimes.
I agree. As a retired bass player, it's the greatest instrument next to drums. That's why. This is why I'm fishing for maybe a job. Finally, one of my greatest memories ever. I was working at Guitar World magazine. We got to go to a screening of Celebration Day at the Ziegfeld Theater in New York, and what a triumphant, incredible performance. Anyone was there. But after the screening, they took us into another room. Robert, John, Jimmy, you guys were all there. Stevie Nicks. No big deal, name drop. You guys were all in the room there, and I almost pooped I couldn't believe, I was already blown away by the performance. Everyone's cheering in the theater, and we go next door, and you guys give this press conference. What was it like, being there, obviously representing your father and the family, and having that moment, which people might have thought was never going to happen, right?
Well, I have to say, at one point, I really didn't ever think it happened. When a lot of it was part of my recovery in a certain way. When I got sober, I got so upset sometimes about, that dream, that desire to play with them. So it wasn't until I really let go of it all, and you go, okay, I just don't even think about it. And as soon as I did that, the phone call came. And a similar thing with John Paul Jones. He was sober. So by that, we get to the event, the best time for me was the 6 weeks rehearsing with those guys, which was like 2 hours a day. That was about it. And then we went home weekends. But that premiere, I remember so clear. Do you remember when Robert shouted out right at the beginning of the thing, but turn it up, because you could talk over it. He said he was really upset and he made him crank it.
It was loud.
So he could get the feeling. and none of them. We were all supposed to leave, like way before the end, and they can't. They said no, we want, because they hadn't listened to it or seen it since.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
So they stayed right to the end to watch the end. And yeah,
we would. I remember
That
everyone
was,
there. Everyone would stand up.
I got so choked up just watching it because it was such a long time between, like 8 years later.
Yeah. There's a long group
know,
at the time. Yeah.
But yeah, just I'd say such fond memories of just being with them in a room and going, hey, you know, back in the day, who was it who did this, or who was it did that? And they would go, well, he's old enough now. We can tell him the stories. They said, but we're going to limit you now to 2 questions a day. Think wisely. So it was very cool.
That's so great. And I imagine Robert in particular must have been, like an uncle, right?
He was him and Dad grew up obviously very similar and played in bands together in those days, in the early days, and there was always that great thing. Robert mentioned it recently, but that my dad wouldn't answer the call because my mum kept saying, every time you play with Robert, you never go anywhere and you never earn any money. At the time, my dad had like a resident gig with a guy called Tim Rose, and then Joe Cocker had also asked him to join the band. But he decided to get on the train, go down to London, and they set up in the Roundhouse, and the rest is pretty much history, really, when you think about it.
Absolutely. So cool. Well, guys, I feel like the rock and roll lineage is strong, and if you could get a chance, you're going to want to see Jason perform all these Led Zeppelin classics.
Yeah.
And, I know I can't wait to be out there. I can't thank you enough for being here. So glad you could be at the racetrack. I hope you get to drive a little out there. And, stay tuned here on the Power Hour, Access TV. Mr. Jason Bonham.
Thank you. Just remember, JBLZE. It is Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening, and it's meant from here, from the heart, to all the fans, to share the music in a live situation. And that's why we do it.